Alex Eala just did something that has the global sponsorship world in a frenzy, and her partnership with Nike is about to reach stratospheric new heights. But here's the twist. She's been wearing the swoosh since she was 14 years old, and now the brand is seeing one of the biggest returns in tennis history. From the moment Eala signed with Nike in 2019, the sportswear giant recognized something special. Now, with a WTA 500 title, a top 20 ranking, and millions of Filipinos watching every move, the brand's investment has paid off in ways nobody could have predicted. The relationship, deepened by cultural tributes like the Sampaguita flower and Tagalog phrases at Wimbledon, has become a blueprint for authentic athlete sponsorship. Is Alex Eala about to become the highest-paid Filipina athlete in history? Long before the world knew her name, long before the Wimbledon upsets and the DC Open heroics, a young girl from Quezon City caught the attention of one of the most powerful brands in sports. And that partnership, forged when she was just 14 years old, has now become one of the most successful athlete-brand relationships in tennis history. Alex Eala signed her sponsorship deal with Nike in 2019 when she was still a promising junior training at the Rafa Nadal Academy. At the time, she was a world #1 junior in the making, a 14-year-old who had already won the prestigious Les Piches tournament in France. She was unproven on the professional stage. She was still years away from her first Grand Slam appearance. But Nike saw something special. "We know the power of sports to really inspire, embark people, and bring people together," said Fabian Paget, CEO and co-founder of 17 Sport, a sports marketing agency. "And you need those role models, and whatever the sport is, tennis or soccer, whatever you need role models to believe that it's possible." What's happening around her will definitely have a huge long-term legacy in the country. The partnership grew quietly over the years. Eala wore the swoosh with pride as she climbed through the junior ranks, winning Grand Slam titles and making history as the first Filipino player to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. When she made her WTA main draw debut in 2021, she did it wearing Nike. When she became the first Filipina to break into the top 100, the swoosh was on her chest. But the real turning point came at the 2025 Miami Open. Eala, then ranked number 140, received a wild card into the main draw. What followed was a Cinderella run that stunned the tennis world. She defeated 3 Grand Slam champions, Yelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and world number 2 Iga Swiatek. She became the first Filipino to defeat multiple top 5 players and the first Filipina to reach a WTA 1000 semi-final. The tennis world took notice, and so did Nike. I would say it's the energy she has. The smile, because for sure, she's from a small country, so she doesn't have all the lights on her, said Jean-Christophe Verborg, Babolat's global sports marketing director. She didn't have before, and suddenly, with what happened, every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her. Nike's response was immediate and personal. When Eala made her Wimbledon debut in June 2025, Nike honored her with a custom-made Sampaguita hair tie, adorned with the national flower of the Philippines. Alongside it was a handwritten note: "Every dream begins as a seed, kung may tinanim, may anihan, and what you plant, you'll one day reap," a Filipina on the grass courts of history. Not just playing for herself, but carrying a nation in full bloom, the partnership only deepened from there. In February 2026, Eala visited the Nike World Headquarters in Oregon, where she was welcomed with portraits of herself displayed along the legendary tunnel alongside other Nike global ambassadors across all sports. Nike even released a limited edition, full-in-bloom t-shirt designed by Filipino artist Georgina Camus, celebrating the Sampaguita against the backdrop of Wimbledon's iconic grass courts. Now, with a WTA 500 title, a top 20 ranking, and millions of Filipinos watching every move, Nike's investment has paid off in ways nobody could have predicted. Eala has been featured in Vogue Philippines and Tatler Philippines, and she was recently named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia class of 2026, cementing her status as a global icon. What would you do if the most powerful sports brand in the world had been betting on you since you were 14? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would keep fighting, keep inspiring, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes could change the world. The Sampaguita, the Philippines' national flower, is more than just a symbol of the country. It represents purity, simplicity, humility, and strength. And Nike has woven it into their partnership with Alex Eala in ways that transcend traditional sponsorship. It started with a simple gesture that would become one of the most powerful marketing moments in modern tennis. When Eala made her Wimbledon debut in June 2025, Nike presented her with a custom-made Sampaguita hair tie. The white blossom, known for its sweet fragrance and resilience, was accompanied by a handwritten note that read, "Every dream begins as a seed. Kung mai tainanim, mai ani hin. And what you plant, you'll one day reap." A Filipina on the grass courts of history, not just playing for herself but carrying a nation in full bloom. Eala was moved. She shared the moment with her followers on Instagram, writing, "The Sampaguita, the flower of my country. A reminder of where I come from and everything that brought me here." The post drew over 125,000 likes and thousands of comments. But Nike's cultural investment didn't stop there. In July 2026, during Ayala's second Wimbledon appearance, Nike gifted her another personalized item, a visor embroidered with the Tagalog message "Kapag lumago, hindiong ihinto." The phrase, which translates to "once it grows, it cannot be stopped," perfectly captured Ayala's journey, a steady rise from promising junior to global phenomenon. The response was overwhelming. Social media flooded with quote cards bearing the phrase. Filipino fans from Manila to Toronto to Dubai shared it across platforms. Nike had done something more than sponsor an athlete. They had honored an entire culture. "Such a beautiful reminder," one netizen wrote. "Seeing your growth and journey inspires so many of us." Lalago at Hindi High Hinto. Eala understood the significance of wearing her identity on court. She told the Manila Bulletin, "It's so sentimental to be able to wear things or carry parts of my culture with me on court because of course it's a huge reason as to who I am. And for me to be able to represent the Philippines in Wimbledon and in the biggest stages in the world, it means so much to me." For Nike, the decision to honor Ayala's heritage was a strategic masterstroke. The brand, known for blending product innovation with marketing savvy to develop deep ties between its products and its customers, had found a way to make Ayala's story their own. "I would say it's the energy she has, the smile," said Jean-Christopher Borg, Babelot's global sports marketing director, "because for sure, she's from a small country, so she doesn't have all the lights on her. She didn't have before, and suddenly, with what happened, every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her." The cultural tributes have become a blueprint for authentic athlete sponsorship. From the Sampaguita to the Tagalog phrases, Nike has demonstrated that honoring an athlete's identity can be just as powerful as endorsing their performance. And as Eala continues to rise, the brand that invested in her when she was 14 is now reaping the rewards of a partnership built on genuine respect. What would you do if the most powerful sports brand in the world honored your culture on the biggest stage? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would wear that identity with pride. Because she knew that every time she stepped onto the court, she wasn't just playing for herself. The numbers are staggering, the demand is unprecedented, and global sponsors are now racing to secure a piece of the Filipina sensation. But the real story isn't just about the money, it's about what Alex Eala represents to an entire nation. Ayala's commercial value has skyrocketed in 2026. Her endorsement deals, including partnerships with Nike, Babolat, NutriAsia, Globe, and Bank of the Philippine Islands, are projected to reach $3 million this year. A Forbes report confirmed that Eala emerged as the highest-earning Filipino tennis player of all time in 2026, bagging a total of $54 million in prize money alone. The numbers are climbing so fast that even the most optimistic projections are being revised upward. The comparison to Emma Raducanu is inevitable and telling. When Raducanu won the 2021 U.S. Open as a qualifier, she became an overnight commercial phenomenon, landing deals with Tiffany & Co., Evian, British Airways, Vodafone, Dior, Porsche, and HSBC. Her sponsorship earnings exceeded $15 million. But Raducanu's commercial potential has waned as she struggled with injuries and coaching changes. Eala, by contrast, has remained remarkably robust, playing a full schedule since her breakthrough at the Miami Open in 2025. Her appeal to sponsors may be even more attractive given her huge support back home in the Philippines, where she has taken over from boxing legend Manny Pacquiao as the nation's biggest sporting icon. Nike has already positioned Eala as a global ambassador. In February 2026, she visited the Nike World Headquarters in Oregon, where her portraits were displayed along the legendary tunnel alongside other Nike global ambassadors across all sports. The timing was significant. Just as Emma Raducanu was making her transition to Uniqlo, Nike was signaling that they were ready to elevate Eala to the next level. Reports suggested that the brand was preparing a 10-year deal worth up to $75 million, a figure that, while unconfirmed, reflects the scale of her commercial potential. But Nike isn't the only brand racing to sign her. Milo Philippines launched Ayala as its newest brand ambassador in February 2026, highlighting her journey from a sports clinic graduate to a world champion. Her story was one built with Milo, said Lawrence Lorico, Milo PH's vice president for marketing. She's a sports clinic graduate, she won tournaments, and now she's a tennis world champion. So those champion journeys are already an inspiration for other Filipino kids. The WTA Low-Koi campaign captured the depth of her appeal. In July 2026, WTA's locally juiced drink partnered with Ayala in a campaign titled Fuel Your Ace with Locally, aimed at uplifting Filipino youth. I feel incredibly honored to be partnering with Locally, a brand that proudly represents Filipino roots and values, Ayala said. Through this collaboration, I have the opportunity to extend my passion beyond the court and connect with the Filipino youth. The campaign came after Nike had already honored her with a custom Sampaguita hair tie at Wimbledon, a gesture that marketing experts hailed as a powerful example of cultural specificity that feels sincere rather than opportunistic. What would you do if the world's biggest brands were fighting to put their names next to yours? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would stay grounded, stay focused, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes had earned every dollar, every deal, and every endorsement. Because she knew that the $3 million question wasn't about the money, it was about the movement. The Dream Team's debut at the Canadian Open wasn't just a victory on the court, it was a statement to the global sponsorship world that Alex Eala's commercial value had entered a new stratosphere. And the brands that had already invested in her were about to see the biggest returns of their careers. The Canadian Open marked a turning point in Ayala's commercial journey. Tournament director Carl Hale had already witnessed the phenomenon firsthand: the 30-minute sellout, the center court move, the thousands of Filipino fans packing Sobe Stadium. Alex is an absolute blessing to the sport of tennis at our tournament, Hale told the media. So it's an amazing tournament to have her here playing singles and doubles with Venus. But beyond the tournament itself, Ayala's partnership with Venus Williams was a sponsorship goldmine. The Dream Team pairing brought together two generations of tennis greatness, a 46-year-old legend with 14 Grand Slam doubles titles and a 21-year-old sensation whose popularity was exploding across the globe. The contrast was perfect for brand storytelling. Experience meets youth, legacy meets the future, and both sharing a common bond of excellence that transcends generations. For Nike, the timing couldn't have been better. The sportswear giant had already positioned Ayala as a global ambassador. In February 2026, she visited the Nike World Headquarters in Oregon, where her portraits were displayed along the legendary tunnel, alongside other Nike global ambassadors across all sports. The photos of her posing with her own images, her hand raised in a peace sign, had gone viral. History in full bloom, one of the portraits had read, Nike was no longer just sponsoring a player. They were building a legacy. The cultural tributes that had defined their partnership were now paying dividends. From the Sampaguita hair tie at Wimbledon to the Tagalog phrase on her visor, Kapag lumago hindi nahi hinto, once it grows, it cannot be stopped. Nike had woven Ayala's Filipino heritage into their brand narrative in ways that felt authentic and deeply meaningful. The result was a partnership that resonated with millions of Filipinos worldwide and set a new standard for athlete-brand relationships. But Nike wasn't the only brand benefiting from Ayala's rise. Babolat, the French racket manufacturer that had signed Ayala early in her career, had already seen the returns. She was the most visible female player using Babolat since Leonard, the first Asian player to win a Grand Slam. Jean-Christophe Verbourg, Babolat's global sports marketing director, captured the phenomenon perfectly. I would say it's the energy she has, the smile. Every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her. The Forbes 30 Under 30 recognition had further cemented her status. In May 2026, Forbes Asia named Ayala to their 30 Under 30 list, recognizing her as one of the most promising young leaders in the region. The publication noted that she had become the highest-earning Filipino tennis player of all time, with her endorsement deals including Nike, Babolat, and WTA, estimated to have exceeded $1 million and projected to grow to around $3 million in 2026. It was a testament to the commercial power of the Ayala Mania phenomenon. Now, with the Canadian Open victory fresh in everyone's minds, the future had never looked brighter. Ayala's singles and doubles campaigns in Toronto were being watched by millions of Filipinos, and the global brands that had already invested in her were reaping the rewards of a partnership built on authenticity. The limited edition Full and Bloom t-shirt, the Sampaguita tributes, the Tagalog phrases, every detail had contributed to a brand story that felt genuine rather than opportunistic. What would you do if you had become the face of a movement that was transforming the economics of women's sports? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would keep fighting, keep inspiring, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes was just getting started. And as she prepared for the US Open, with her sights set on the next chapter of her journey, she knew that the best was yet to come. The Sampaguita hair tie at Wimbledon, the Tagalog phrase on her visor, the portraits at Nike World Headquarters, the Forbes 30 Under 30 recognition, Alex Eala has become more than just a tennis player, she's become a global brand. And the world's biggest companies are racing to be part of her story. The numbers tell a remarkable story. Ayala's endorsement portfolio, including Nike, Babolat, Nutri-Asia, Globe, and Bank of the Philippine Islands, is projected to reach $3 million in 2026. According to Forbes, she emerged as the Philippines' highest-earning netter of all time this year, bagging a total of $54 million in prize money on top of her endorsements. The 21-year-old from Quezon City has already accumulated career earnings exceeding $1 million. But the commercial numbers only tell half the story. What makes Eala truly invaluable to brands is something that can't be quantified: her authenticity. I would say it's the energy she has, the smile, said Jean-Christophe Verborg, Babolat's global sports marketing director. Every single tournament she's playing, it's crazy how many people around are watching her. That energy has transformed her from a promising talent into a cultural phenomenon that transcends tennis. The blueprint for her commercial success was set long ago. When Raducanu won the US Open in 2021 as a qualifier, she landed deals with Tiffany & Company, Evian, British Airways, Vodafone, Dior, Porsche, and HSBC, earning well over $15 million from sponsorships. But Raducanu's commercial potential has waned as she struggled with injuries and coaching changes. Eala, by contrast, has remained robust, playing a full schedule since her breakthrough at the Miami Open in 2024. Her appeal to sponsors may be even more attractive given her huge support back home in the Philippines, where she has taken over from boxing legend Manny Pacquiao as the nation's biggest sporting icon. The cultural tributes have been the key to her success. From the Sampaguita hair tie to the Kapaglumago Hindina Higinto visor, Nike has woven Ayala's Filipino heritage into their partnership in ways that feel authentic rather than opportunistic. The limited edition Full in Bloom t-shirt, designed by Filipino artist Georgina Camus, celebrated her Wimbledon debut while cementing the national flower as a recurring emblem of her journey. Now, with the DC Open title and Canadian Open performances fresh in everyone's minds, the future is brighter than ever. Ayala's partnership with Kim Kardashian's Schemes collection has already generated buzz. Her Forbes 30 Under 30 recognition has cemented her status as one of the most promising young leaders in Asia. And with the US Open approaching, the global brands that have already invested in her are about to see even bigger returns. What would you do if the world's biggest brands were fighting to put their names next to yours? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would stay grounded, stay focused, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes had earned every dollar, every deal, and every endorsement. Because she knew that the commercial success wasn't about the money, it was about the movement. And the movement was just getting started.